Day 4, let's roll. I am already connected to the remote desktop, and I've already done some things like sign in to Chrome. I've got a window here that has Google Chrome running in it. I signed into Creative Cloud already. Didn't make that part of this video. We've kind of done that over and over, and if it's working for you, then it's working for you. And if it does not work, if you can't connect, I will be posting, it's not posted at this minute when I'm recording, but I will be posting an alternative assignment on Schoology, and you wouldn't even have to connect to the virtual desktop to do the alternative assignment. So do that if you can't connect here. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to do. Sometimes in the world of design, people do a lot of fun things with text, and I'm looking at some examples right here where people have kind of altered letters. They combine them together, they change their shape, they play with letters to create a logo. And what I did here was a Google image search for combined letter logo. And you might want to do that when you get ready to do this assignment today. You might get a few ideas. You don't have to do anything super complicated. Some of these are really, really fancy, like these double Ks here that are connected together. That would be a lot of work. It'd be fun to try, but it's a lot of work. So you see some ideas here about how people have played with letters and tried to kind of combine them together. Well, I'm going to show you some ways that you can kind of do that. Now, I want you to do 2 examples of it today, and you could keep it kind of simple. You don't have to overcomplicate. All right, so let's roll. I am going to, let's see, get back to the virtual desktop here. And I need to fire up Illustrator. I haven't started Illustrator yet, which I could do from the Creative Cloud app, or I could do it right here. So we'll get Illustrator running, and I'm just going to make a new artboard, and I'll do a couple of pretty simple examples. You can have a lot of fun with this. Just depends on, how much energy you have and how much you enjoy it and whether or not you can connect to the virtual desktop. And boy, this would be so different if we were at school. It would be so much more fun, in my opinion. All right, here we go. So I'm going to create new, just make yourself an artboard here. I'll do the things I always do. I'm going to create new, print, letter. I like landscape orientation. Create that. All right, we're rolling. So the first one I'm going to do is, I kind of saw this on, I will close that. I kind of saw this on that web search. I'm just going to take the type tool. I'm going to click once. I'm going to type the letter E twice, E, and I'm going to take my black arrow and make that nice and big. I think this happened in yesterday's movie. I'm noticing that my properties panel over here is not showing anything, which is terrific. So I'll do that whole thing, and I had to do this yesterday. I'll go to Windows, and I'll go, because I want to play with fonts here a little bit, so I'm going to go to Windows and go to Type and go to Character. Windows, Type, Character. And I'm not sure all your keyboard shortcuts will work when you're on this virtual desktop either. That's the downside. I wish we were at school. All right, so I'm going to change up the font here a little bit at least. Let's see. What do I want to try here? That wouldn't be bad. I'm going to make a pretty quick selection here. Maybe I'll just go with that Rockwell font because it'll be pretty easy to work with. All right. So here I've got EE, and I'm not, again, this is not going to be anything super fancy, but I'll give you the idea. I'm going to, sooner or later, I'm also going to need my swatches panel because I'm going to want to do a little bit with color. And I might even get out some gradients. Pardon me while I get a bunch of panels out here. And I might also, because my properties panel isn't working, I'm pulling out some things that I anticipate that I'm going to need. Okay, anyway, here we go. Finally got it. Okay, so I got my letters. The first thing on this is when you have your letters, and you could do like a whole word if you wanted to. You could play around with the whole word. But I'm going to right-click it and do Create Outlines. That's the thing that we want to do. Right-click, Create Outlines. And what happened there is that this is not really type anymore. These are actually, these just got turned into shapes that are shaped like letters. It's not type. I can't take the type tool and edit this anymore because it's not really type. It's shapes. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup it. When you create the outlines, they're automatically grouped together. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to ungroup. Cool. Now I got to deselect and you'll find that these are separate. Okay. Well, so my idea here this time is not, like I said, not going to be that fancy, but it'll give you the idea of the kind of thing you can do. Now that they're shapes, we know that I could do some things like, I could play with the white arrow because there's going to have anchors, right? I could select an anchor here and say, well, let's just give that an angle. Even, things like that. It's not terrible. Look at that. I'll select this corner anchor, right? I might keep this. I kind of like it. I'll just pull that out to an angle. I'm just styling this a little bit. Oh, I do like this. I'm discovering that I like this. And that's part of the fun of this. I'm just going to pull those anchors out, right? I'm just selecting those anchors with the white arrow. And see, even that looks different than it did before. But here's the other thing I'm going to do. I'm going to select the two end anchors of this right here and just pull them straight over like that, right? And then because they're shapes, oh wow, another panel here. I also might want my Pathfinder, and it would be terrific if my properties panel was working over there. I'm getting a really cluttered workspace, but oh well, that's the way it goes. What do we got happening there? Anyway, so now I'm going to take my black arrow and I will select these. I've got all kinds of things happening here. I'm going to get rid of that. All right, I'll take my black arrow and I'm going to select these, and on my Pathfinder, I'm going to unite them together. All right, so now this is all one shape, right? So what I did, I broke I had EE, I broke it apart by doing create outlines and ungrouping, and I played with it a little bit. And then maybe I come along here and say, well, let's fill that with I'm going to fill it with a gradient and give it a little bit of a stroke. And look what I made. It's not terrible. It isn't terrible, right? So then what I'd like for you to do after that is make one more example of something, right? Even if, watch, I'll show you another fast example. I'm going to type Superman. It could be a word. And I'm going to size that up so you can see better what I'm doing. And this font isn't really going to work for my idea all that well. So I'm going to switch the font up. I'll go to the character panel, and I want something that's a little, I'm looking. I want something that's a little less curvy. If I can find something that's a little straighter, a little more modern, I'll go with this Gill Sans. It's not, no, I don't like that. Sorry. Oh, goodness. I got to make a fast decision here and just pick something and go. All right. I'm going to go back up here, and I'll do the Gill Sans. That's fine. Okay. So, again, remember how this works. You have some text here, and you go right-click, and you create outlines. It's not text anymore. It's shapes. Right-click, ungroup. Then you have to deselect, and then all of these are separate. So now what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to make the S bigger, kind of like that. And I might even make it a little bit wider, just for kicks and giggles. And then again, going to play with the white arrow. I'm going to take this anchor that's right here on the corner of the S and stretch it way out. And then I'm going to take another anchor here and stretch that kind of way out like that. And, I'm probably not, in this demo, I'm probably not going to take the time to be all super perfect about this, but, and I don't know if you like my idea or not, I'm playing. That's what this is about, is play with it. And then what I might do here is take, like the N right here. And then, since they're shapes, does it not make sense that if I wanted to, I could just like draw a rectangle and take those, it's a big rectangle, right? And I'm going to unite that together. And so I added to the end by drawing it on their shape and uniting it together. Since they're shapes, I can do that. I converted the letters to shapes, and so there. See, that's another example. And I don't know if you love it or not. Ooh, I didn't get all those selected. I have to fix that. I can't live with it. All right, I wanted to fill them with white and then stroke them. And there we go. So I have two examples of text where what I did was I did right-click, create outlines, right-click, ungroup, and then started playing with it. And I'm not going to be that picky about exactly what you do. Now I'm going to real quick go File and Save As. And I connected that Drive stream, that Google Drive stream. So you'll see over here on the left, if you want to do that, I could save this straight to my Google Drive. There's an option for it over here on the left-hand side. I could click on Google Drive, double-click on My Drive, and I'm on my Google Drive. I could save it there. Now I could also, this would work if you wanted to save it on your network drive. Here's my network drive, and I could save it there. Just call it something like Combined Letters or whatever you want to call it. And I'll press enter there later. And then the other thing is, once I get out of Illustrator, I just saved my work here. Once I get out of Illustrator, you should, to submit it on Schoology, you kind of have to do it while you're still on the virtual desktop. So several of you have figured that out. So I have a Chrome window open that I've already signed into, and I can go to Schoology here. And then once I'm at Schoology, and you probably have to do single sign-on about 50 times, which means it's not single. But once I'm at Schoology, I'm on the virtual desktop and I have a Chrome window and I'm at Schoology, then I would be able to go ahead and turn this thing in on the assignment. Now, it's actually not linked up at this minute, but it's about to be. All right, so gosh, that's our effort of the day. And remember, if you watch this movie and then find later that you cannot connect to the virtual desktop, you can't remote in, then do the alternative assignment. I'm posting a document on Schoology, and I'll send it an email that will have an alternative assignment that does not depend on remoting in. You'd just be able to do it and submit it to me a number of different ways. All right, all done. Fist bump.